Welcome to the most dull and boring political race of them all, the Australian election. Honestly, what type of loser gives a shit about this? Sorry, Geordies, love you, mate, you big old shill. The Australian election is only moments away, and I think it's important that we all understand a couple of things when it comes to politics in general and in Australia. You shouldn't trust any of them. They're all full of shit. They're all liars. They only care about themselves and getting re-elected in a couple of years. And now that we know that, let's dive deep into who might win and who I think might just take out the race. But before I do that, here's three things. Number one, both candidates suck balls. There you go, I said it. Number two, they both are against free speech. That's horrifying. Both the Australian Labor and Liberal Party have proposed certain laws over the past couple of years and terms that will really restrict Australians' ability to utilise free speech, an extremely important part of a modern society, any society. Some of these laws got in, but what's more worrying are the laws that they couldn't get through, how they really feel. And then on top of that, both parties, they're big fans of the e-safety commissioner, right? The online fucking principal, the Karen of social media, the one who says what we can and can't talk about. They both love her. In reality, what's worse than all of that, possibly combined, is the association with political leaders in this country with this lady, Abby Chatfield. Yeah, Abby Chatfield. The lady, when Trump got elected, she posted 56 TikToks in 48 hours. That's Trump derangement syndrome, if ever I've seen it. You have lost the plot, lady. She had Anthony Albanese on her show. She had Adam Bandt, the leader of the far left party, the Greens here in Australia, the guy who refuses to stand in front of the Australian flag. What a cocksucker. And of course, she followed that all up just a couple of days later with a butt plug advertisement. You're killing it, Abby. Well done, babe. For the record, I did reach out to both major party leaders and no one responded to me. Maybe I should be shoving more things up my ass and then talking about it on camera, and maybe then someone will give a fuck about poor little old me. Oh, geez, these lights are bright. And for the purpose of this video, I know that, oh my God. I know that the left and right conversation, people freak out about this, but for the purpose of the video, we're going to use left and right, politics, that type of thing. Just fucking calm down, all right? The first party we're going to cover is the Australian Labor Party. Classically a left-leaning party that is supposed to be there to look after the workers of Australia, the middle and lower classes of Australia, the people of Australia who get up every morning and bust their ass getting work done so they can put food on the table for their families. Unfortunately, the Labor Party has shifted away from that and incorporated woke politics into their party brand, which is absolutely fucking atrocious, and they should never have done that. It really is awful. Now, they're run by a great man called Anthony Albanese. Now, Albo's left-leaning, centre-left, it's pretty much centre-left party is probably the favourite to win the election. They're currently in charge of the country, and have they done a good job? I don't know. I mean, have they really? This is the thing about Australian politics. Have they done anything? Their key policies include healthcare, and $8.5 billion into Medicare, which is Australia's version of free healthcare, and which does work quite well. Where does this $8.5 billion come from? I don't know. Housing, they want to help people be able to buy their first house, and they also want to increase the number of houses being built, which means they'll have to bring more migrants in, which I think is a bit of an issue. And I think there's a massive issue of bringing more and more migrants into this country, not just from, I know when you say migrants, people think people who are fleeing, like refugees. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about people from America, from England, everywhere. The more people coming into this country means the more houses that are being taken up, which means more Australians can't buy their own home. They want to work on the climate crisis, which, okay, whatever. I'm sure we can reduce emissions. I think that's a good thing. Plant more trees. I think that's a good thing. But thinking that we're going to change the course of the climate is a bit ridiculous, in my opinion. They're going to save Australians in their cost of living. How are they going to do that? They're going to give everyone $150 for their fucking electricity bill. Yeehaw. And they're also going to help women out by a new initiative focusing on women's safety and legal support services. That's all what they're promising. Who knows if they're actually going to deliver on it? What are the negatives about the Australian Labor Party? Well, the voice was the biggest negative to come out of Australian politics, I think, in the last couple of decades, probably since work choices. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know what The Voice was, it was basically the Australian Labor Party deciding that they needed to enshrine a law within our constitution that had an advisory council providing advice to the Australian Parliament, and these people were to be Aboriginal people. Now, is it a good idea to have Aboriginal people providing advice? Sure, absolutely, on things that pertain to Aboriginal people, absolutely. But the problem is, and I think the problem for most people with The Voice was there was no details. They didn't provide any. This is what they're doing with a lot of different laws. They're being very vague. And I think people didn't like that. What they definitely didn't like about The Voice was they spent $411 million on that voice referendum. That's crazy. That was 50 mil over budget. All that money on some vague change that's basically just virtue signaling. Nice one, Labor. Killing it. Other key negatives include interest rates. They are fucking going ballistic. They're still going ballistic. They've gone down a tiny little bit, but not enough to help people. People are literally ending their own lives because of this shit. The other key negatives include Albanese's lisp. Can someone with a speech impediment run the country? I don't think so. Another very important key negative for Albo as a leader is his mum was in government-funded housing. He carries on like this is an important thing and people should really pay respect to him and his mother because of this. But I say, ew. He says this all the fucking time. No one gives a shit about your mum, mate. Let's take a look at the only other party that has any chance of taking power. The Liberals. Ah, yes, the Liberals. Terrifying people run by the evil man known as Peter Dutton. The Liberals are sort of centre-right. Remember what I said about all of the parties basically being in the middle and just picking little points left and right? The Liberals are centre-right. It's the opposite of Labor, I guess, sort of. Their key policies for this election, they want to help out small business, which is lovely for small business. They want to help them with tax offset. They want to allow mortgage interest reductions for first home buyers. They've been big advocates for nuclear energy, and I think that is a good thing. I know a lot of people have been freaking out about the cost, but if we look 100 years into the future, we should be harnessing nuclear, but that's just my opinion from a comedian who knows nothing about nuclear, much like all of you who have been anti-nuclear and have no idea what you're talking about. But anyway, don't freak out about Chernobyl. It was like 70, 60 years ago, okay? Technology's improved, but don't mention Fukushima, okay? Don't talk about it. Yeah. They want to reduce migration, which I think is a good thing. And they're proposing almost $1 billion into something called Operation Safer Communities, an initiative to stop with drug smuggling and to start a national child abuse registry, which I think is fantastic. You should know in your neighbourhood who is around you. But the problem with the Liberal Party is, and I guess with the Labor Party, and I already said it, is I don't trust either of them to do anything. I really don't. But on top of that, Dutton looks like the scariest man that's ever lived. I don't know why they've chosen him as the leader. All he has to do, and I asked ChatGPT to make this, all he has to do to not look as terrifying is grow a fucking beard. Look at this. Grow a beard, dickhead. I don't trust the Liberals for a lot of different reasons, and I don't trust Labor either, so fuck the lot of you. But what I do want to point out is the Liberals were leading Australia, and remember, Liberal in Australia, in America it means left-leaning, in Australia it means right. Confusing, whatever. During their last term in Australia as the leading party, they were in charge during the early 2020s, during a certain illness where everyone got locked inside. So I don't trust them at all. 1001, 1003. Then there's the Nationals, who are all about agriculture and farmers and stuff. And no one really knows anything about them. All I can tell you is David Littleproud is the dude in charge, and that's all I know. Good on them. It's nice to have people there pretending they have a chance to win. And I guess independent views are very important, unless they are the Teals. The Teals, if you don't know, and I imagine most of you don't know, are the Karens of the political environment here in Australia. They're all women, middle-aged women, who just have the shits and are upset about things that don't matter. That's the Teals. Unfortunately, they have too much of an impact, and they should be, they should just fucking calm down. All right, Karens? Shut the fuck up, please. Then, of course, there are the independents, and the independents are very, very important. Without them, the people who aren't paid to think a particular way, We don't really have anyone voicing their actual opinion now, do we? And then, like any good democracy, we have the joke parties, the ones that no one takes seriously. Like, for starters, the Greens. The Greens, led by Adam Bandt and Abby Chatfield, are a far left-wing party, and they want to tackle the climate crisis and forget that big countries like fucking China and Russia exist. They want everyone to have a house, even if you've never had a job. Have a house, why not? They want to focus on education. I know what they're saying. They know they're never going to get in. They're never going to have a position of power, so they just say outlandish things like, yes, we're going to put Coke in the bubblers. Shut up. On the topic of fuckwits, it's the Victorian Socialists that are up next, led by this guy, fucking Jordan Vandenbergen. Mate, what a cocksmoker he is. He's also known on TikTok as Purple Pingers, and he hates landlords and all of those, but people with money. He hates people with money. Get a fucking job, Jordan, you fucking sook. Anyway, he was giving out addresses online of houses that he deemed were empty enough for someone just to move in for free. And apparently, allegedly, he gave away some lady's mother's address or something, and then all these squatters moved in, and the lady lost all the fucking stuff that was in the house that belonged to her mother. Nice one, Jordan. Fuck you to the moon. The socialists are just for everyone, redistribution of wealth, all that stuff that sounds nice in theory but never actually works in practice. Good one, guys. I'm glad you're dedicating your lives to something that doesn't matter and will never happen. Then there's the legalised cannabis party, which have, well, I think it should be legalised too, but surely you got other ideas. Then there's the freedom party, what's it, Australia's voice. That's just multicultural rights, which is good, but why is that the only thing you talk about? The Sustainable Population Party, they're there too, and I guess that's probably a good idea. But I should probably, before we go any further, talk about my favourite part. The Trumpet of Patriots. Yes, that is the real name of a real political party here in Australia. Funded by, run by, I don't know, something by this guy, billionaire Clive Palmer. I don't know how much of his assets are liquid, but apparently, according to, well, the amount of cash that he spent on ads, he spends a shit ton of money, even almost more than the major parties. Clive Palmer has a lot of fucking cash, all right? And he is really making himself known in this election, particularly as, number one, a fucking awful marketer. Have you seen these ads?
Vote 1, Trumpet of Patriots.
The Trumpet of Patriots, like, I like Donald Trump, all right? I think he's very funny. But why? That's just fucking so cringy. A lot of people have said that basically Clive is there trying to take votes away from Labor. But in reality, according to ChatGPT anyway, and my own thorough research, apparently it actually helped Labor more in the last election. I don't know. Let me know what you think down below. But here's the problem with all of this. It doesn't seem like any of the actual major parties or anyone who has any chance of changing anything in our current climate, it doesn't seem like they want to do anything for just the regular Australian citizen. Like, what do people actually want? They want things to not be so fucking expensive that they have to decide what they can and cannot live without. And it's not like the vast majority of Australians are doing well. In fact, most people are struggling. And most people have decent paying jobs. So how does that work? How do you give up 40 hours of your week every single week and still not be able to afford groceries? Still being able to struggle and having to put things back when those grocery stores are posting record profits? Why is healthcare going up? Why is electricity and water and everything going up? Why is everything so much more expensive? This is the amazing thing that happens when countries put up interest rates or banks put up interest rates. Everyone else goes, well, fuck, if everyone else is doing it, I'm going to do it too. And then the little guy gets fucked over. I think without a doubt, we need to be more self-sustainable in this country. Nuclear, I think, is a great option. Look after our own energy needs. Produce that shit here. And I think what we need more than anything is a strong leader that can really look after us for the next best part of a decade. But right now, that doesn't fucking exist. Right now, if you look at the betting markets, the Labor Party, the left-wing party, is almost a shoo-in. But things can change. So who knows what will fucking happen. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think down in the comment section down below. My name's Isaac Butterfield, and I'll see you next time. Be a good motherfucker. Peace in the Middle East. With Dixie Dinks. Toodaloo au revoir. Bye-bye.